Hello, I'm Dr. Ron Eaglin, and today we're talking about math markup language. Math markup language is one of those beautiful XML languages that we had been talking about, languages that were designed in XML. And I'm also going to be using a tool here that I want students to become familiar with. So if you look at what I'm doing here, I'm actually working with Expression Web right now, which is a Microsoft product. And it's essentially Microsoft's primary web editing tool for editing HTML. One of the tools that I like because it very easily moves over from the design mode to a code mode, and it allows you to split into two different screens. I typically like to work in code mode. And one of the nice things about code mode with Expression Web is the fact that with like most Microsoft products, it employs Intellisense, so that I can easily add or insert things here. Unfortunately, however, what I'm going to add and insert in this example isn't supported in Expression Web. So I'm going to move it out of the way. So what I want to do here is I actually want to create an equation I'm going to embed into a web page. So how do I do that? Well, again, in this case, having the right tools is important. So over here I'm in Firefox, and I have a tool that I'm going to use in Firefox called FireMath. So the FireMath tool is actually a plug-in to Firefox that comes up in Firefox, and what it allows me to do is to create equations. So the equation I'm going to create is a simple differential. So what I'm going to say is that in here y is equal to, and I'm just clicking on the different buttons, and in this case I simply want to put, it's going to be equal to the integral, so here's my integral, okay, of, in this case it's going to be the integral of x dx. And that's it. Now the tool itself is kind of handy in that it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it does allow you to create the math markup language for any type of equation. So if you look at different parts of the tools, like down here where I've got different symbol sets and other parts, so like suppose I want to now throw in a double differential here. Well, that doesn't make any sense there, so I'm going to go ahead and move over one and delete that. Or suppose I want to come over here and say, you know, that differential, really, I'd like to do a differential that has a range on it, so I could actually use a range-based differential. So there's different ways to do this, but if you play with the tool enough, you'll get used to how to put equations together. So now I've got this nice little equation here that is a math markup language equation, and it starts with the math tag and ends with the math tag, and this is the equation here. So if I take that equation and I copy it, I can come over here now to Expression Web, and I can now paste that equation into the body of the document. And there it is, y equals integral of x dx. Now if I want to see that being rendered, I can go to File, and I can display preview in the browser, and the browsers that support equation expressions are Firefox is one of them. Okay, so I want to go ahead and save changes, and if you look there, there's my y equals integral of x dx, and it shows up just like an equation would. So I have this really straightforward ability, and of course I can easily take that and now say that I want to have it embedded here. Here is the equation you should solve. And maybe throw in, now if I go to design mode, and when you look at this in design mode, it actually doesn't look like that. It doesn't show you the rendered equation. Now you can see when I want to go back to the code, it threw the line breaks in there. I can now go back and I can preview back into Firefox. And you can see, here's the equation you should solve, and it's all together, and that's pretty nice. Now, one of the issues with doing equations is, in the case of Firefox, it does actually render the equation, and it translates math equations, which isn't universal to all browsers. So if I were to preview, let's say, the same thing in Internet Explorer, okay, pop up Internet Explorer, okay, you'll see that this rendering is not the same thing. Now, there is a way to fix that, and that is the fact that there are JavaScript libraries that are available that you can pop up into the header, which will render the JavaScript correctly. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise to look at those JavaScript libraries. I will give you a little bit of a hint here that one of the JavaScript libraries that you should take a look at is specifically a JavaScript library called MathJax. A little pause there because I wanted to bring it up. www.mathjax.org is where you can get that library, and it will allow you to render the equations just simply by linking to the source of that JavaScript in other browsers. And that's something that we have actually covered very well in JavaScript. So I'll leave that as an exercise to the users to make this equations compatible in multiple browsers and to test in the 3 primary browsers that you'll be responsible for. And those would be Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Google Chrome. If you feel like going ahead and testing in things like Safari or other browsers that are Apple-based, feel free, but those are the browsers that I'm going to look at. So in summary, we've looked at simply using Microsoft Expression Web. You've now seen Expression Web. The ability to create equations using a tool called FireMath, which are math markup language, which is an XML languages, and then also how to render those in a browser. So good programming. Talk to you later.